Welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you for joining with us tonight. I'm excited to be here. I am your host, Jay of Cognitive Drift. Got a lot to talk about. We have a special guest, Kandiss Taylor, who's running for Congress in Georgia, first congressional district, Southeast Georgia. Highly contested seat that Putty Carter used to hold, and really, something that a lot of us should be focused on is these congressional races, local races. A lot of these seats are really important in terms of the big picture, right? We need to get conservatives in there who can support President Trump. And a lot of people kind of sit back during the primaries and they wonder why in the general election, why we can't get rid of these rhinos and why we keep getting bad picks. And so, a lot of us have been talking about these candidates, kind of vetting them, bringing them onto our shows, and kind of helping people understand who these people are, so we can make educated and really good decisions. So tonight, I got, like I said, Dr. Kandiss Taylor coming on. I have my friend Michael Wan. And also Madeline Elizabeth will be joining us tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to add my panel to the stage. Welcome, Kandiss. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are y'all?
I'm good. Michael, good to see you, buddy.
Hi, Jay. Hi, Dr. Taylor.
Hey, y'all just call me Kandiss. I should have took the doctor off. It was on my thing automatically.
Yeah, you earned the title. You earned it. It's good for you. I mean,
it's a terminal expensive degree. I am proud, and I'll say this: just I have a PhD in counseling. That my dissertation was on suicide, suicidal ideation, suicidal attempts, and suicidal completions of adolescents, and then counselors, school counselors specifically, self-efficacy. And so if they felt like they could handle cutters or they could handle the suicide and felt like they couldn't. And so we knew we were failing as a profession getting them ready. And so I had significant findings, and I was so thankful that I got to do that research. And I guess that's the best thing that happened about me getting my PhD, outside of the fact that Ben Carson was my commencement speaker. And
wow.
I felt called to run for office that day. So it was so powerful. He spoke and talked about political correctness and the national debt, and said if we don't get involved, we're going to lose our country. And this is before he ran for president. And it was absolutely amazing and changed my mindset about politics and life. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to run one day. And
Yeah.
then here I am running again.
Yeah, there you go. Michael, how you doing, buddy? I saw your show the other night with Chris Bish. That was good.
Thanks.
Michael is a huge YouTube account. He's a former South Korean journalist, lives in California now, and is using his YouTube platform to really speak the truth, because a lot of stuff is silenced over there. And so he's helping, bring to light. They have a lot of election integrity issues over there, and he talks a lot about that, and also American politics. Fantastic dude and good friend of mine.
So, Michael, I know some Korean words.
Oh, you do?
Will that impress you?
What was that?
I said, will that impress you? So let me tell you how I know. I know coal and eat and bore.
Oh, that's true.
But,
That's
let-
good.
but let me tell you why. Because I had my daughter from South Korea. She lived with me from when she was about 10th grade until she graduated high school. She's actually a teacher in South Georgia, in my county where I live now, teaches third grade, and she's married to a pastor. But she is, she did like an exchange student situation. She has wonderful parents. Her mom is a worship leader in South Korea. But I had a little girl that was a year old, my daughter, and so her name's Chon Mi, but she goes by Praise. But she taught her body parts in Korean.
Oh, okay. So that's how you got to know it. You said your daughter was in Korea?
So I'd say she's my daughter. She lived with us she lived with us for 4 or 5 years. So she's like my daughter.
Oh, okay. Got it. So that's how you. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
good. Most people don't
And
know.
she taught my biological daughter that was 1 at the time. She taught her body parts. So
Yeah, I mean, Korean language is not an easy language, but
no, that's why I know very little.
yeah. The Korean situation is really dire, like what Jay said. The pro-China. So without America, South Korea would not have been liberated from Japan or North Korea or China. But right now, the South Korea, if you look at the South Korean politics, the far left, pro-China, pro-North Korea part of the political party has completely taken over. They took over like 2/3 of the parliament, and the president is also a very anti-America. He proud
Really?
himself of being anti-America, and he even said that America, they shouldn't have even been involved. So a lot of people on the left in South Korea, they believe that Kim Il Sung, you know, the one who was the founder of North Korea, he was supposed to take over the entire region, and America kind of got, uh, interrupted that movement. So they have this kind of
Yeah.
sick mindset. Yeah, which
Well,
is
she
bad.
was she. So Praise is a Christian conservative, and has her citizenship, and she got to vote for President Trump. And her family are Christians, and so
Right.
they're really strong. And I've not visited there. I want to, and she wants to take me there. But she said that they have huge churches, like thousands of people, and that they're all really strong Christians, and they're conservatives. And so I hate that there's
Yeah.
that many people that are liberal.
And South Korea has actually the largest church. That's called Yeouido Sunbokgyoe. It's a Pentecostal church
Mhm.
with Dr. Cho. I think a lot of pastors here know of him. He passed
Oh
away.
yeah, Dr. Cho, I've read some of his books. Yeah.
Yes, and that is the largest church. So there's a lot of Christian persecution happening now too.
Wow.
The current president Lee Jae-myung said he thinks that there should be some kind of restriction even for church members to express their political opinions. And there was a pastor who actually went to jail for expressing his political opinion in Busan, the second largest city in South Korea. His name is Sonyeon Bo. So his son, Chan's son, I think he's been hitting a lot of mainstream media in America because since in Korea it's all suppressed. He came
Right.
over here. He even had a meeting with Vice President J.D. Vance weeks ago, and that's because of the pressure of Vice President Vance. He got released. The pastor got released in South Korea. So it's is that this South Korea, what's going on in South Korea is completely like yo-yo land. It's not the South Korea that we
Yeah.
used to know.
Well,
I
I
can
hate she visited last summer, and she didn't talk about any of this stuff, but she was probably sheltered, just going to her church and her home with
yeah.
her family.
Mhm.
But I'm sure she knows, because she keeps up with all that. But I did not realize they had gotten that
The,
divided there.
the thing that makes it really difficult is it's like freedom of expression is suppressed. It's like us being under Biden regime, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So like the economy is doing okay. You know, the stock market has been hitting record numbers in South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
So on the surface, it seems like it's okay, but the problem is, they're suppressing a lot of conservatives. Voter fraud issue. I do believe that because of the voter fraud, because via voter fraud, they took over the
Mm-hmm.
parliament. 2/3 of the parliament, and I think we have a CCP angle there. China is definitely involved in voter
Mm-hmm.
fraud. They're taking
Absolutely.
they are. I believe that Lee Jae-myung, the current South Korean president, I don't even want to call him president, but he is taking marching orders from Xi Jinping directly. I'm telling you, I think that's what's really going on. And now they're even refusing. Even today, the news came out from one of the largest newspaper in South Korea that they are even refusing to do joint military training, military drill with
Hmm.
America. So this is big news now too. So they're like actively going out and saying, we don't like you, America. We're with China all the way through. We don't care what you guys think. And even like,
That's very scary, because
yeah,
South Korea has
it really
always
is.
kind of
It
been
really
America
is.
focused.
And there's an American company called Coupang, which is the largest e-commerce company in South Korea right now. They're trying to even get rid of that company. They're trying to kick that company out of America. So yeah, this is crazy, and I think it's a huge issue now in American U.S. Congress too, because they had a recent meeting in the Oversight Committee. They called in the acting CEO of Coupang. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
his name is Harold. I forget his last name. Harold Rogers, I think. Yeah, he was, and he talked about how discriminative South Korea is to American companies. They're really persecuting a lot of American companies. It's not just Coupang. Like they're even like some I forgot a diaper company. The Kimberly. I forgot the
Not Pampers, not
yeah,
Huggies.
it's I forgot. But anyway, yeah, anything America, they're persecuting. They do not
Wow.
like American companies operating there. It's crazy. It really is. It's
Well,
sad.
I will tell you that I have a heart like tender for the South Korea because praise. She came in my house and she plays piano and she sings, and like I said, her mama was a worship leader. Well, she is too, and so she just flooded my house with worship and taught my kids scripture, and she loves Jesus, and I've seen videos of her church and talked to her mama on their weekly calls, and heard just the things that would go to Prayer Mountain and pray for hours, and her mother prays for me, and I just have a heart for those people. They're really good hardworking people, and that breaks my heart that they're being pitted like that for China against America. I hate that.
Yeah, and it's really like the carbon copy of what went on here in America. You remember like the January 6th situation?
Oh yeah.
Protesters were arrested, probably more than thousands, right? Isn't it the number like?
Oh yeah.
Right. In South Korea, there were some young protesters, like in their college students. I'm talking about. They were protesting, and they all went into jail, like 100 plus, and they're still in jail just because they expressed their political opinions, which is really shocking. It's really I didn't know that this day would come in South Korea. It really is a sad situation there.
Well, because the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and South Korea had revival going on there, and masses being saved and on fire for the Lord. And so the enemy wants to destroy that, and the best way to destroy a move of God is communism.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I don't know whether you remember it, but a couple of years ago in South Korea, the former president now, President Yoon Suk-yeol,
Yeah.
that is the reason why he declared martial law. It was very controversial here in the States too. I mean,
Mhm.
they covered it because of, martial law. It sounds like he wanted to be a dictator, but that was not the case. He wanted to actually audit the National Election Committee in South Korea because they're pretty much immune from the entire system. Because he wanted to uncover these irregular numbers, the vote
Right.
numbers, and with the voters, they
Without all the other influence and manipulation, he was trying to get it under control. I can see that.
and the only reason he had a way to somehow audit the National Election Committee was via martial law. But here in the States, they kind of consider him like a little bit crazy because he could declare martial law. But I really wanted the American audience to know the truth about it. That was a righteous call, and actually, presidents do have that under the Constitution in South Korea to declare martial law. But now they're using this insurrection. They accuse him of insurrection, and that he's in jail right now. They declared a life sentence. First,
Wow.
the prosecutors wanted death penalty, but that was lowered recently by a judge to life imprisonment, and there's an appeal, but I don't think that appeal is going to go that well either because the judiciary system is completely compromised in South Korea. The problem is
Which is scary because
Really?
we have seen our judicial system compromised in America.
Yeah.
So this is case in point
Yes.
of what happens when that gets compromised.
Because the judges and the justices they're the one who takes care of the election. So, if they can't investigate themselves, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
If they're the one who takes care of the election, how can you give a guilty verdict? That pretty much means that you're going to investigate yourself because you're the head of the election committee.
Honey, just like in America, because why would they term limit themselves?
Exactly.
Why would they tell themselves they can't do insider trading? Right? We can go on and on. They don't want to give themselves any restrictions.
And that's how I got to know Jay too, because Jay was kind of interested in South Korean politics, and a lot of South Korean people follow Jay because he also talks a lot about Jay talks a lot about voter integrity issues, and because a lot of South Koreans, they have no hope, the conservatives, so they're asking America to somehow get involved, and they're so excited about the FBI investigating raiding in Fulton County, Georgia.
Yeah.
The election office there.
Yeah. Well, speaking of election integrity, judges and stuff, did you guys watch the State of the Union last night?
We did.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that? I thought it was one of President Trump's best. To be honest with you, I liked the honesty. From he talked about real things. He honored some great American patriots, gave out 2 Medal of Honors, gave out some Purple Hearts for some deserving people, and really recognized some great people. But the thing is like for me, I like when we're not getting smoke blown up our butt, right? President Trump called it like it was. He called out the Smalley case. He called out the insider trading. He called out and he directed it directly at the people that he should be directing at. And I don't like it when politicians pretend like we don't know what's going on.
Mhm.
You can even ask Grok about Nancy Pelosi's trades, and it will tell you the ones that are in question. NVIDIA, there's a few other ones, right, that Paul Pelosi made or whatever, that there's no other way that he would have known to make that trade. That Tesla's a big one. These trades or whatever, and Grok even knows that. And so, it's obvious they have apps built to follow her trades. And so, I admire him for being as honest as he was, because I think I think we need to stop pretending like these things aren't happening. And it's we need to understand what we're up against, and we need to call it out for what it is, because the media won't do that. The media will not do that. They refuse to. So President Trump has to, we have to online, and I like how he attacked it.
Yeah, definitely. I was on with Steve Bannon earlier, and Lance Wallnau was on there. And Lance Wallnau, he said a lot of things that I totally agree with, but this one thing resonated with me. And Jay, you and I've already talked about this, is the apathy we see in the Republican Party, because they are, I say the Republican Party, Republicans in general. Okay, they're comfortable, they're apathetic. President Trump's in, they're happy, we're winning, we are winning, and President Trump did a great job at highlighting all of those things. But he also called out the Democrats for their complete ridiculousness of sitting down, not standing up, saying that we should put America first, not saying that we should protect American citizens over illegal criminals, all the things. And he angered them so much, they would crawl over glass. I think that's what Steve said. They would crawl over glass to defeat us. And so we have to, in the next 90 days, fire our own base up to say, no, we're going to take it all back. You stole it in 2020. We're still paying the piper of what you did to us. And we're going to not stop here. We're going to win the midterms. And people saying we're going to lose the don't speak that. No, we're going to win the midterms, and we're going to take more seats back, Republican, to true conservatives like me, like other people running. And we're going to go in and make a real change and codify some of these wonderful things that President Trump's written into executive order. And if we don't fire our base up, the people that are working jobs and not paying attention and just want to be left alone, if we don't fire them up, if we don't fire up the church, if we don't get people involved and engaged, then we could lose. And so we have to somehow translate what President Trump said last night about we're winning, we're winning, we're winning, to do you want to continue to win, or do you want to go back to how it was, but way, way worse if they ever gain control again? We have to fire the base up.
Yeah, I think especially when I agree with everything you said, Dr. Taylor, and especially when President Trump was talking about the transgender issue, about banning minors,
yes,
their gender from boys to girls or vice versa, and then he was saying, I mean, we should all just clap for, give applause for that, but they didn't. And then he said, "How crazy, you guys are crazy." That was
crazy.
Yeah. I think that really showcases his charm. I think a lot of people root for him, in those moments. And like you said, you're right. A lot of people are talking about. I mean, I also blame myself a little bit that come November, it's not going to be easy. And usually, traditionally, the majority party tends to lose in the midterms, right? The only two exceptions were under George W. Bush, I believe, and Bill Clinton. And I think we can make an exception. I think the problem is right now, I do think if it wasn't for the Epstein files, I don't think President Trump or the Republican Party would be in this kind of predicament. That's my honest assessment. It just came out of the left field. I thought that the Epstein file issue was more advantage us, the Republicans,
Mhm.
and and the conservatives. But I think President Trump. I mean, this is according to Marjorie Taylor Greene. I saw her interview recently, and one of the reasons why she said that President Trump was reluctant about releasing those files was because he had some friends there mentioned, and I think President Trump is a very loyal person. I think you all know that, and I think he felt probably some would be wrongly accused, and I think probably there are whole sorts of other reasons too. But I think that is the reason why people have been saying, we're going to lose a midterm and all that because of the issue of Israel coming to one of the top issues, and that is also unexpected too. I did not know that we would talk about the issue of Israel. It was never an issue. It was a non-issue prior to this election cycle. So I would say this, like people like I even tweeted it out to like Candice Owens or people like Dave Smith, Tim Dillon, all these people who turned against President Trump, who used to be MAGA. I would say this: you have to remember all the great things that President Trump did. He sealed the southern border, so 9 months in a row, we don't have a single illegal immigrant or a migrant coming over here. That's a tremendous accomplishment. Without the Congress's help, he did it all by himself by using tariffs and all sorts of other weapons that he had. And also, even the tariffs. I mean, the U.S. Supreme Court. It was a shame. Like 4 days ago, they landed. They came with a decision as they did. But I think President Trump still has other tariff options too, and I think that is advantage America too. That is the reason why I think people voted for Trump in the first place. He's the only one who talked about the tariffs. Nobody talked about tariffs. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Before President Trump, there was no prominent politician who really talked a lot about tariffs. It was President Trump who always talked about the importance of it, and we now know why. He has taken in, what is it, almost like $1 trillion. Well, isn't it like $18 trillion, right? He's bringing that investment over here. So I think there's a lot of great things. And then even the vaccine mandate, he loosened that up. But there's many great things that he did, and fossil fuel, and not just he stopped all of those negative things. So I think we should all remind ourselves, and even talk to people because I think come November, we need every single vote of that. The people who support Candice Owens, Dave Smith, I think Nick Fuentes, he didn't even support Trump in 2024. So if you even exclude him, you need all these people who kind of left the MAGA movement and then try to persuade them to come back, because we do need those every single numbers. It's not going to be an easy fight come November.
And I just want to welcome Madeline.
Hey,
Thank you
girl.
for joining us.
Sorry, I just flew back from DC. I was late, and I couldn't hear it because I ran in with my AirPods. Like, I ran because I felt so bad I was late. You guys were coming through my AirPods, and I was like, "Where is that? Where are they coming from?" It was in my pocket. So
from DC, right?
Yes, yeah, I went for DC. There's Young Republican reunion, and obviously the big speech last night. So, yeah.
We were talking about that. I want to comment about the Epstein files. Michael, I think the problem that happened is we allowed the left to control the narrative. Yeah. And so when the files were released, and maybe even before they released, President Trump should have given us a speech or someone and said, this is what you're going to see, and this is reality. Because people, whatever their first impression is, it sticks with them. So if the news media spins it in a certain way, that's the first time they hear it, they filter everything through that, and perception is their reality. And so we didn't control the narrative well. But I know that if there were truly people that was close to the president that were in trouble, they would have arrested them under Biden. So there are people in those files that need to be arrested, no doubt, because I've seen too much to already see why aren't arrests happening. And I think whenever the DOJ gets to the point of, okay, we're going to arrest some people for pedophilia here, we'll see the base turn back. And okay, something is happening. But I just think they didn't control the narrative very well, and it just spiraled out of control. But do I think that the president had any nefarious anything with it? No. And he is a very loyal man. I totally believe that. He's very loyal. And probably there were people in there that he thought, man, I really hate for this to come out, because it could, even if they were not involved in pedophilia, it can look bad. And so, and he knows how the media is. The media's attacked him for decades, so he knows.
I think it was because this is my personal thought. I think President Trump didn't want this to be released because what I understand after reading all these horrible things in the Epstein files, I feel like there's a protected class, and even President Trump cannot touch them. I think there's an untouchable class that we probably even have a difficult time. You know, I mean, even in the file that shows that Epstein says that he represents the Rothschild, but who's going to call in Rothschild? You know, I think they are untouchable. There are untouchable forces there, and I think President Trump,
you know what? They're not untouchable to the Lord, and the Lord says that the vengeance is His. And anybody who does something to children, it's like tying a millstone around your neck. And so I believe every single person can come down, and that they will come down in the name of Jesus. And it is not okay to take the innocence from children, and we shouldn't give anybody a bye.
Amen to that.
Amen to that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think that at the end of the day, I think the DOJ has done a terrible job. I think we have a problem with our DOJ, and I think our DOJ is compromised in different ways, different people. Pam Bondi's support goes with Susie Wiles. Susie Wiles and Bondi have the same support, and I think Blanche is dirty. I don't think Blanche has any right to be there. I think we're going to find out that he has interfered in multiple weaponization cases, and he, if anything, is building conspiracy cases and helping Democrats build conspiracy cases against Republicans. My client, who's running for Congress, is one of those cases. I was there and have tried. We're still dealing with that. I actually went to House Oversight and spoke with House Oversight today. And one of the reasons because once you file, you can have receipts with House Ethics, House Oversight. So then if they want to take the case, then you go to the investigations team. So then they start pooling all the records, right? You can give them as much evidence, but then they also have to look at it before Comer, and all of them really start getting the subpoenas ready. And we're to the point of with the investigation, the investigators have it, but the problem is right now they're doing all of the depositions for Epstein. So I could barely even get through the door because all these people in the media were gathering around for that. You know, the Epstein thing, what hurts me the most is we're just going to get hearings from it. I think that they are so far. Trump doesn't even want them. I mean, what hurt my soul is Trump has talked so badly about the Clintons and tried to redeem himself, and then to come back and say, like, we don't want, like, he likes Bill Clinton and he doesn't think Bill Clinton should go before the House Oversight. See, there's this group of people, donor class. There's a specific donor class and people that are telling him that if they allow Bill Clinton and these people to be called before oversight, then that sets a terrible precedence, because then he and his family can get called once he leaves office. And there's been multiple people from a certain group that are really building that narrative. A lot of them are, paid by AIPAC, and it's not, I hate to go down that road, but those are the people that have really built that narrative and said, we shouldn't have Bill Clinton go before the House Oversight. Whether you believe that's true or not, I think that the Epstein files I think all of those people should be arrested. I know a lot of Trump surrogates that have completely are abandoning the entire MAGA movement and are not going to be donating right now until there's an explanation to what's going on. They're very mad, but just like what you were saying, they're terribly upset about his response. It's the PR issue. And Susie Wiles and a lot of them, because of a certain donor group, told them to not worry about it, that they will have their back. They've kind of rubbed the American people wrong because we were supposed to be the party of transparency, and we're not.
Well, and I'm just going to tell you, I don't give a rip about money. And money has been running politics in this country for too long, and that's why we're where we are. Those of us who work normal jobs, we've been working and paying taxes and raising our families and going on a vacation once a year and not paying attention. And now we're paying attention. And we are fully aware that if we don't get some of us elected and stop playing Monopoly they're playing Monopoly with our money. It's a game. It's not real money to them. but my tax money is real money to me. And I expect it to be treated as such. And so we're going to get elected and we're going to cut the fraud and the bull crap. And we don't care about the donor class.
Yeah. I mean, I think people have been really frustrated, including me, in the MAGA movement, because we thought that people like crooks like James Comey, James Clapper, John Brennan, and so this is prior to the Epstein files. We already know that how much dirt we have on them, even fabricating the Russia collusion, what was it? Crossfire Hurricane. I mean, nobody went to jail. The only one who went to jail was Kevin Kleinsmith, the lawyer who said that, Carter Page, who was working for the Trump campaign, whether he was whether he worked for the CIA or not. That was a question, and he answered no. But the actual answer was he did work for the CIA. So he lied about that, and he pleaded guilty. He only had 6 months. But other than Kevin Kleinsmith, all the other ones got off. Like Michael Sussman, the legal advisor for the Hillary Clinton campaign, and also the Russian guy, Igor Danchenko. They both got not guilty verdict in Virginia and DC respectively. So I just feel like it's very difficult, even though you do charge these crooks like Comey, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, or whoever it is. If they're going to do this judicial system in DC as a swamp city, who voted 96% for Kamala, Biden, you know what I mean, Obama, Hillary, in this area like Virginia too, we're not going to have justice. Like it's almost like you have to almost, like what you said, Dr. Taylor. I'm telling myself, okay, they're not going to be judged here on earth, but one day they're going to have to answer to Jesus Christ. Or
maybe they will be judged on earth. Because I can tell you, if you're into pedophilia, I'm good with capital punishment and not a long, drawn-out process.
Amen.
Exactly. I want them in military
and the American people feel that way. The American people feel that way everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of hardcore MAGA people that I've been shocked because I've been even shocked by some of the people that I thought would just go along, because there's a lot of people who've let Trump get away with this and this administration get away with it. And I have been shocked in recent weeks that people have said, I still can't believe have they arrested anybody for the Epstein. I said, they're not going to. Like, I would bet my whole life on it that they won't. I'm hearing from House Oversight. I mean, James Comer is basically having to do double work because DOJ, the referrals are stacking up on the desk. And so everybody who has been whistleblowing is now scared, because unless you go in before the grand jury or unless you go before the House Oversight, you can be a whistleblower, but you're not protected. And so people are the DOJ is leaving a lot of Republicans in a big mess. There's a lot of messiness happening behind the scenes, and it's going to come all out eventually, because once this whole Epstein thing goes away, we're going to see that DOJ is not going to try. Blanche has made it very clear he will not try anyone, and it's because a lot of those people are their friends.
Well, let's shift gears here a little bit. So Save America Act, it's something that President Trump talked about last night. Mm-hmm. It's something that he said is a top priority. How do you see that playing out? Do you see them getting that passed? Do you see it going through the Senate, or do you think it just soon runs out the clock and then, midterms happens and then we'll see where it goes? I'm not sure myself. I honestly don't know, because I think he is kind of running out the clock a little bit, which is unfortunate, because even most Democrat voters agree with it. Even most Democrat voters, and if Democrats were being honest or whatever, they would probably pass it too. But I think it would be a game changer if we did get it. I honestly, I don't think you'll see a huge difference in places like Texas, but I think in places like California, you're going to see a massive difference, because I don't think that California is as blue as you think it is. Yeah, there are huge liberal swaths in California, but I think California is a lot more red than we think it is. And here in Georgia too. Here in Georgia, like Atlanta's a big problem, but I think if you get election integrity, this state is redder than
That's what I
redder than any other, like almost any other state in the union. I think people that say that Georgia is purple or blue, or they've never been here. You've never talked to Georgia. Like this state is red as hell, and you know, it's even
literally.
Everybody I know from Georgia, they all say it's completely red country. You know,
yeah, it's talk to anybody.
I think Georgia's redder than Kentucky at this point, to be
Absolutely.
honest.
Yeah.
We have a lot of rhinos in Kentucky. I'm from Kentucky, so I can say that. But no, and I think I've said this on record, I think to Michael, but you know, I think that states like Georgia and California, I think seats could be picked up. I think they have a chance of winning if we pass the SAVE Act. I actually think we will lose states in the deep red states, because deep red states have serious problems right now with people like John Thune who don't want to act, who are running out the clock. We have a lot of rhinos. We have Mitch McConnell, right? But Mitch McConnell won't be replaced until after the election. So that there's a lot of different issues here. But I think a lot of the red states, we could see loss of seat. I think California, if Kevin Kiley gets his shit together, I think we could actually pick up seats.
Yeah, I even in California, President Trump got almost 40%, even with
all the fraud
issues. Yeah. So I really do think that if the SAVE Act passes, you know, definitely Republicans are going to pick up a lot of seats here.
It would be a game changer in California. It would, like, I don't know, we would be almost unstoppable at that point.
I think Republicans would win for decades too, but I think it really depends on what happens in Georgia, the FBI result. You know, because you need this narrative shift that the mainstream media, they still consider this like conspiracy theory, but you have to have the MSM kind of admit, you know, there are some issues, and the whole people, not just us, you know, but not just this being an echo chamber, but you have people on the left who's also calling out for election integrity, voter integrity issues. And if they have to put pressure on people like John Thune, you know, to vote for it, and we need the nuclear option, right? Realistically, that's the only way to go, right? We have Mitch McConnell said he's a no vote, so we just have to put a lot of pressure, you know, to John Thune.
Thune is
ultimately it's up to him, right?
But he announced today that they're going to go through the process of letting the Democrats go on record, which is running out the clock, because that means instead of going through with the filibuster and just nuking the whole thing and getting this moved on, running out the clock is letting them all come in and put their vote on record. And that will take another few weeks to get everybody united front to do that.
Well, it's the only thing that matters. If we don't fix the elections, we'll have no country. Yeah. So the only thing that the Congress needs to be doing, period, is this Save America Act. And we have to apply massive pressure to make that happen. And I'm going to tell you, this should have happened last year, this time, not now. So the clock is running out. And in Georgia, I'm gonna tell you, even if it doesn't pass before then, they're gonna be terrified to cheat here, because all eyes are on Georgia. We have the FBI in, they have those ballots. They're terrified. They know they can't reconcile those ballots. They know. Okay.
They know they cheated, right?
Huh?
They know they cheated. 315,000 votes.
Absolutely, they cheated. They cheated everywhere. They drag and drop votes. So I ran in 2020 for U.S. Senate, didn't know anything about politics, and I got 50-something thousand votes in the state. Well, my numbers went up and down all night, and I watched myself go up 3,000 votes, down 5,000 votes, up 5,000, down 3,000. I mean, just back and forth. And so I started watching President Trump's votes. Well, it was happening to him by 100,000, 50,000, up and down. It adds. There's no subtraction. And this is in live feed on the news. You're watching it go up and down, up and down. And I was watching other races, and it was doing the same thing. We watched it in real time. And people that say it's a conspiracy are ignorant, or they're blatant liars. It's one of two, because there's no doubt there was fraud. Absolutely no doubt. They've proven it over and over and over. The election laws are so complex in Georgia that misdemeanors and felonies were committed over and over and over, and there's been no accountability. Zero. Because the sheriff doesn't get involved in those races. They go through in those elections. They go through the state election board investigators that's hired by the Secretary of State, who's Brad Raffensperger, who, illegally recorded President Trump and then had the phone call and all the things. And he's now running for governor. And there's no way he won his seat in 2022, but he did. It's a joke. It's a complete joke. And so they are terrified of what is going to happen when they come back and say, the votes don't add up, we found this forensically, we know you cheated, and people get arrested. They're scared of that. So hopefully they're not going to totally hijack the midterms in Georgia. I hope that's enough to get their attention. And President Trump does have that in his back pocket. So if they don't pass the Save America Act, he can say, okay, well, then I'll just push this through because we have all this evidence. I mean, that's what I'm praying for my election, that they're scared. They should be.
Right.
President Trump can change by executive order, right? The whole thing, the election system. Can he?
Well,
That's
I mean,
$1 million question.
Well, I mean, it's in the Constitution how it's supposed to be done, and a lot of the power is given to the states, and so therein lies the problem. Is states could have been doing this the whole time, right? Georgia could have required people to proof of citizenship, all this and they do require an ID in Georgia. But they could have went a step further and done the citizenship thing. They could have done all these things that are in the Save America Act, and any other state can do that too. And I think Florida is actually, I think they're going to follow the Save America Act.
I think so.
To pretty much, I could be wrong, but I believe that Florida is going to take it a step further and do that, and hopefully Arkansas does that also with Sarah Huckabee. She's a fantastic governor too.
But Jay, Georgia doesn't even vote constitutionally now. It says in the Georgia Constitution that you have to show your intention of voting. So we're touch screening votes, so you're not marking them. So there's no adjudication of ballots, right? Because your touch screen is printing it, and it prints it in a QR code. With the QR code, the state legislator, they voted last session that this coming July that it would change, and they can't use the QR code, but they're going to be able to use them for the primary, but not for the general. But it's embedded, so you have a printed name, but you don't really know what's in that QR code. Because so you could have A equals A, or you could change it. You could say, well, A equals B. And they can run a tabulation of the early voting numbers, and they can see it's a felony. But they've done it in counties all over the state because we found it in open records request. They've ran the count early during early voting, tallied the ballots, turned the key in, tallied the ballots, and found out who was leading. So if I know that Kandiss Taylor's leading in the election and I don't want her to win, I'll just change and make somebody else equal that vote. And so then the people are still voting for Kandiss Taylor, but it's really going to the other pot. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's all computerized, and they're not counting the paper. So they get the tabulator count, and if they reconciled it with the printed paper, you would be closer in alignment, but they're not doing that. They don't want reconciliation. They don't want accountability. They will not even agree to count the paper after they get the tabulated count. Now, why wouldn't you do that?
That's funny.
You should talk to Patrick Byrne. My client had a lawsuit against Newsom for certain things with election integrity, and Patrick Byrne has a huge lawsuit right now against the Dominion voting. And I can put you, Stephen Gardner, he has a YouTube channel. I don't know if you know who that name, but he's who put me in contact with Patrick Byrne for my client. So, and he has lawyers, and his lawyers may be interested in interviewing you and working with you for your campaign, and because it's a big thing for him. He spent a ton of money and time in the election integrity lawsuit.
He's number one, right, in that field. That's what I understand. Yeah, he's very much.
Yeah, and I just got in touch with him.
Oh, you did?
Great. I just got in touch with him. Stephen Gardner was nice enough to introduce us. Christine Bish actually introduced us for that reason. So I would love to connect you with him.
Yeah, that would be great. I've never met Patrick Byrne, but he did sponsor a retreat we did, about 20 of us in Buckhead, and he paid for the hotel conference room for us to meet for 2 days to go through all the election stuff and make a game plan on what we could do to combat it. And this was back maybe 2021. So I know that he's done grassroots movement like that because somebody got that lined up. It was Laura Logan's husband, I think, came to it too. So maybe he was the one that got Patrick to sponsor it.
What I understand is in 2020 presidential election, if it wasn't for Patrick Byrne's team, that President Trump even might have lost. According to him, this is according to Patrick Byrne, that there was a team that was outside of the United States that was blocking the Smartmatic, hacking. That it was his team that blocked the hacking and then protected the election process. And but if what Patrick Byrne said was if he did not get involved, then Kamala Harris was supposed to win, but he blocked all those tabulation funny business. So I think huge props to him.
Yeah. From the user level, my biggest gripe with the system, having been through it, having been a poll worker myself, is how there's no way for at the user level for you to verify how your vote was counted. That's my biggest gripe with it. Regardless of whether we use the machines, regardless of whether we use paper, we do in-person ballot, there should be some place where I can go and it says that I voted for President Trump, I voted for Kandiss Taylor. And they say, well, somebody could get that information or whatever. Well, that's not an excuse. Like, you either voted for one or the other. Right. I either voted for Kamala Harris or I voted for President Trump. There's there's no other. But the thing is like, I should be able to go and verify that. People, their biggest gripe when they come through the polling location is you just feed it into this machine and then you don't get any confirmation. You have no clue how that was counted. You have no clue how it was tabulated, none of that. And so in terms of the machine, I think that's a great reason why we should get rid of the machines. But the other piece is, why can't I validate how I voted? Why can't I validate how my vote was counted? If there's a problem with my signature, why can't I go and see that issue or whatever, so maybe I can correct it? Why can't we have some integrity there? I don't understand. And I do understand, to be honest with you. I know that they want to muddy the waters. That's exactly what they want to do. They want to muddy the waters. They want to maintain control of it so that, they don't actually get election integrity, so that they can, do these other things or whatever. But, I think the average poll worker is honest, and they're gonna, uphold the law, and they're gonna make sure that people are voting the right way and stuff like that. It's the people that are in charge of it that are really causing the problems. And so if, that's one thing I wish we would have. Like, I should be able to verify how my vote was counted and who it was for. There's no argument that's going to convince me that shouldn't be happening.
Isn't Brad Raffensperger a huge problem in Georgia? Wasn't he the one who blocked all the auditing, right?
Yeah.
And he's still Secretary of State. He's still running the elections, and he's running for governor.
Yeah, and here's my 2 cents, right? Here's my 2 cents. They were mad at Trump, and so they did everything they could to not be helpful with President Trump. That's really what it was. Brian Kemp and Brad Raffensperger were mad at Trump. Trump called them out, and they did everything in their power to sit on their hands and not help him. That's what happened here, and that's why we got 2 freaking blue senators in this red ass state.
They didn't win either.
Yeah, we got 2 communist blue senators in the state. It looks absolutely ridiculous. We voted for a Republican governor. We were voted for mostly Republican congressional candidates, but somehow we got 2 blue senators. It's absolutely absurd.
No way did they beat Herschel Walker. No way.
No way.
Do you remember when Lynn Wood kind of told the MAGA people to don't come out and vote? He did say that, right? Because he said they're gonna rig the election anyway. Didn't that kind of affect the result too? I'm just asking.
I don't think it did. People say that. I was friends with Lynn back then, and Patrick Byrne was on the phone with Lynn one time when I was at his house. But so I didn't talk to Patrick, but Lynn did. They were real good friends at one point. But I don't think that he had patted the vote. People say that the vote, you never had the same number that comes out during the runoff. I don't believe at all that we lost the runoff then. I know Herschel Walker beat Warnock. There's no doubt in my mind. Herschel Walker is famous all over the country, but can you imagine how much Georgia loves him? He won the only national championship we had, 1980, the year I was born, before we won the recent ones. Herschel Walker is a legend and he's a wonderful person. People love him. There's no doubt he won. And it's crazy to think that Warnock went right back in and all of his liberal policies. And like Jay said, I mean, they're not the most liberal ones in the Senate. I mean, he justified abortion with the Bible, however you do that, completely demonic. He had Fidel Castro in his church in Georgia. I mean, the man is as radical as you can get. There's no way he beat Herschel. I don't believe it. So we've had, and now we're going to have John Ossoff. And I want to tell you, John Ossoff has really good constituent services. People like him, moderates like him. And there's even Republicans he's done favors for that they needed passports or they needed things done, you know, to get a body, a dead child back from, you know, the crime lab. And he helps people. He has really good constituent services. But he's as radical as they come with transgender surgeries and hormone therapy and boys and girls sports and all the things. And there's no way he's going to win. There's just no way. So we'll see how that turns out again.
Yeah. Even Kelly Loeffler, she was supposed to win that one too. That was odd too. Right.
Well, her and David Perdue. So Doug Collins and Kelly Loeffler, I ran in that race. It was my first time ever doing anything in politics. But Doug Collins had tremendous support in this state. And there were 21, it was a jungle primary. There were 21 names on the ballot. And there were 8 Democrats and 5 Republicans. So it should have been 2 Republicans in a runoff, not a Republican and a Democrat. Okay. And so it was very odd and it looked very fabricated. And then it's Kelly Loeffler and it's Warnock. It was just strange. The whole thing was strange. And like I said, the numbers went up and down all night long. Add and subtract, which is that's not possible during an election, but it happened.
Yeah, so we're all rooting for say that. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, I mean, most of America is too. Like I said, even most Democrat voters support it. You know, everybody has to show their ID in Georgia. Why wouldn't you have to be a citizen to vote? I mean, that's part of the, you know, the intent of the Constitution too. You know, they just happen to give it to the states or whatever, and the states are supposed to handle it, but they're obviously not handling it very well.
And they always use a race card, right? It's discriminatory against.
Not though. That's absurd though. Like it really has nothing to do with race. Everybody has a freaking ID. In Georgia, you don't even have to leave your house in order to get an ID. If you're physically incapacitated, you can't leave your house. Georgia will send people to your house and they will take a photograph and give you an ID. Like you literally don't even have to show up. And so to use that excuse is just ridiculous. And the Kamala, this person doesn't have access to a fax machine. It just doesn't exist, right? It doesn't. It's completely ridiculous. Like it doesn't exist. It's a fabricated story that they're using to pretend like they can't do this. It's not hard to show an ID. You just pull it out of your pocket and you show them. They verify it, you go vote, and then hopefully your vote is counted correctly. And so that's the other piece of it. But it's not. I don't care what anybody says. It's not hard.
For most government programs, you have to submit your identification.
Yeah. I know.
So it does, like, if you're gonna, I'm not to be call a spade a spade, but like if you're looking at certain demographics where the Democrats, Gavin Newsom put himself in a box to how embarrassing recently. If you're looking at certain demographics, a lot of the government, the people that they're saying can't afford to go get an ID, wouldn't have a way of getting an ID. Those people, you have to have an ID or they cannot collect.
Right.
They cannot collect their state fund, their EBT cards. When they go to that office, they have to have some type of ID, and a credit card does not work. They have to have it.
Mm-hmm. And if you're so lazy to not get an ID, then they shouldn't even vote. That's what I think.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you're so irresponsible, you're just so that you cannot get an ID, you cannot figure out how to do this system, then maybe you shouldn't be voting. Honestly,
it's the highest right of our land. And if you don't take it that serious, then don't vote.
Yeah.
Right.
So it doesn't make. I mean, whatever they say, it doesn't make sense. Whatever the Democrats say, it does not make sense. Transgender doesn't make sense.
Mental illness.
Sense. Nothing.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
So-
and be glad it doesn't make sense to us. That means we're sane.
Are you trying to tell me that somebody can't make time to go get an ID, which would make their life 10 times easier, so they could get on a plane, get alcohol, whatever it is, everything you need an ID for? You're trying to tell me they can't find time to do that, but they're the one time, like every few years, that they actually need to show up and vote, they're going to go to do that, but they can't make time to get an ID? That's BS. That is, it's bullshit, and we all should call it what it is. It's a lie. And honestly, if I were a certain demographic, I think their response should be, how fucking rude are you? Like, what do you think we are? Just completely incompetent?
Hey, they can find a ride to the Dollar General to buy markers and poster board and glitter, and they can find a ride to go get their pink hair dye, and they do all that with veils on.
Yeah.
I mean, these people create daycares that are getting millions of dollars in funding.
Right.
They clearly, if they're legit, they could go get a damn ID.
Right. So, speaking of crazy Democrat, let's talk about Fetterman.
Had a suit on last night.
So Fetterman has been the shock. Like, he, in terms of like politics, like not much shocks me anymore. But Fetterman has been a complete, like, honestly, this dude should be the leader of the Democrat Party. Honestly,
that's why we shouldn't hate on all Democrats. Some Democrats are good.
He's the only person that has a stroke and comes back better.
Yeah.
Like,
wasn't he kind of more closer to far left prior to the stroke?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was a in terms of the way I viewed him, he was a hardcore leftist. And to be honest with you, the dude is pretty common sense. Like, even the Save America Act, he says, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Like, it doesn't make any sense not to pass it. Like, it's not an issue. And so, like, you know, and I was glad to see him in a suit last night. President Trump shook his hand. That was cool, you know, but it shows. You know, I like how conservatives kind of get behind him and support him. Yeah, he votes mostly liberal, and that's fine. But he's not a lunatic. He's not a crazy person like, you know, like Ossoff and Warnock and stuff like he's not completely radical. Like, you can have a conversation with him. You can talk some sense with him and stuff like that, and you can come to you know, an agreement on some of these things, which is refreshing for a lot of us, because we don't ever get that. And, you know, and so I really like it. I like how President Trump, that he was the last person he shook his hand before he went on stage or went up there last night. And so I thought it was pretty cool. But I really like to, you know, highlight some of the good ones, because yeah, he has different politics than me, but the thing is like, the dude's civil. The dude he represents what it should be like, you know. Yeah, we have different opinions on some of these things or whatever, but like, there are some things that we can come together on, and we don't have to be complete, you know, jerks about everything, about every single thing. So it's refreshing for me to see that from him.
Is he the only one that's a moderate? I mean, I guess he's a moderate, but is he the only one? Because I think he's the only one that ever has anything sensible to say.
That's what I think.
Well, he doesn't toe the line. He doesn't toe, like, he doesn't.
But
like,
isn't he the only one? I mean, really.
There are some moderates,
and Joe Manchin, but they're gone, right? So
there are some moderates, but they hide. They don't talk. The thing is Fetterman's such a big guy, and he's made such like media, like news, that I think that he's somebody that gets noticed. Somebody in California, like Adam Gray, he left he was who got the government turned back on. He moved and came over to the Republican side to get the government turned back on. He tends to fall more moderate for California lefties. There's a few others, but they're never going to go out there and do what Fetterman does. I also would like to say Fetterman is a great example. Mega base, Trump spoke to the mega base back in 2015 when Trump ran originally. That was the hardcore blue collar worker, the farmers, the landowners, those are the people. One of the biggest fights with the mega base was we've always tried to win over the unions. In Pennsylvania, it's known for, it's like the Steel City, right? It's a very blue collar state. a lot of people are blue collar, but they are more union, lots of unions. The union plays a big role in Pennsylvania. So Fetterman plays more of a role with like the unions, and he's more like that fit mold, where I feel like the mega are more like never government, they would rather never be a part of a union. But if you could find a way to really get somebody in the middle there, that you would find Fetterman. He's just more of, he toes the line with like the unions and things like that, but he is blue collar, and that is mega. We tend to forget, we've forgotten the base is not this like wealthy country club elite group that we all used to say we were. We're not. We are, the mega base is very blue collared, and they are hurting right now bad.
Yeah, affordability is the number one issue I hear about on the campaign trail every single day.
Yeah.
Constantly. I want to say one thing was my favorite thing he said last night is he made the comment, he was talking about the American people, but he didn't say the American people. He said the people that I love. And he meant it. He loves America, but he loves the people. He really does. And you see that because he comes and spends hours talking to us and shaking hands and honoring the people. And even like how long slow he made his way up. He wanted to take selfies with people and shake people's hand because he wants to give everybody attention. If he could hug every single body, he would do it. And that means something to people. It means that a personal touch. You're not just a celebrity and you're up here and we can't touch you. He tries to get as close to as many people as possible that he can and be accessible. And that means something. And so when he said the people that I love, I mean, I had tears well up in my eyes because that's why I'm running, because I love the 1st District of Georgia and I want to protect our freedom. I love the people. And it matters. It means something. These people that are elected, the majority of them don't give a rip about their constituents at all. They like the money, the power, and making themselves well known. That's it.
Yeah. Do you guys remember when we used to make fun of John Fetterman when he did his debate against Dr. Oz? I mean, he just couldn't verbalize his thought, and it was devastating when Dr. Oz lost to him. But now I feel bad that I was happy that he was horrendous during that debate, because I think he's really, like you said, it seems like he really cares about his constituents. And I recently watched his interview on Fox News. It was CNN. No, it was CNN. And he was saying that there are some faction of the right and the left, who are really mean to him, but there's a huge difference. The one on the right, they would just call him names. But the one on the far left, they would just say, we want to kill you.
Right. Well, I mean, I was highly critical of him, but I also thought that he was a lot more radical than he has been. And so, I can say that, I was wrong in a lot of ways about how he would be. And
he even supports ICE. Right? He even supports ICE.
Yeah, right. Well, I would much rather have a conservative in there, but in absence of winning that election, I would like to have somebody who's a reasonable Democrat, and I see him as one of the very few reasonable Democrats there are. And so we should be thankful for that, because he could be a psychopath, like Elizabeth Warren or somebody like that, that just completely unreasonable, obstruct everything, gets nothing done, only tears down. Like that's who these people are. And so I think there's a little bit to be thankful in Fetterman, and he represents a better Democrat.
She was awful last night. Elizabeth Warren was awful.
She did give one standing ovation, right, about the insider trading thing.
I absolutely loved when he looked over, like give the cameraman give him an award. Like he panned over to the absolute right person that was getting called out every single time on he panned over on Ilhan Omar, and she was just steaming. He panned over to Nancy, and they're all just steaming, but they deserve it. Honestly, this is we never get these truths. Everybody knows it's happening, but you'll never get that from the media. And so give that guy an award, honestly. Like, give him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, because that was fantastic. It was so well timed. Perfect. Yeah.
I don't want to scare voters. I don't want to scare constituents, but midterms really are the down payment for the general, and the general is the down payment for 2028. And I look at people like Omar, I look at the reactions last night that the camera caught, and I think we should make a reel of it because it should frighten all of us. It should frighten every single Republican voice that's out there talking. I'm afraid, I've started to think like maybe I need to toe the line on certain things that I've been saying because they're coming for us. Their blood is boiling. And the difference with Democrats, I hate to say it, they would already have half of us in jail by now. They would not be waiting. They are ready. They are going to have the right people lined up. And you know what? Like the thing is Constitution, I don't know if it's going to cover us anymore. Journalists, it's not going to cover it. They're going to come for us, and they already have, there's all this AI technology that's being worked on for surveillance. It's coming out. Citizen journalists are exposing it. And I'm very frightened for what's to come. And it's people like Dr. Taylor, people like Christine Bish. It's people up and down the states that they deserve to win. There's great candidates out there. The problem is there's money being poured into really bad races. I've been very unimpressed with endorsements coming from the White House. I don't believe they don't match what is on the ground. The people in North Carolina, Don Brown and Whatley are a great highlight of that. Whatley just got endorsed and North Carolina went insane. So there's a lot to be said about what's to come, but I hope people.
Yeah. So like in my race, I was going to say in my race, the guy that's running against me, his dad's a former congressman. He's a lobbyist for foreign nations, and he has $1.6 million. I have $100,000. And a poll was done last week that he won't release because he commissioned it. But we were both in the 20s and 2 points apart, and everybody else was in single digits, with me only having $100,000. So that's where the base is. The base is with the people. But you're right, Madeline. We talked about that before you came on here, that the Democrats were so enraged last night, they would crawl over glass to get us out of office. Yeah. They are furious, and our base is apathetic, and they're complacent, and they're satisfied, and we're winning, and they're happy. And if they don't show up and get they have to get fire in their belly where they feel like if we don't show up and keep this country and seal the deal and fix the elections and make them fair and legal, we are the majority. And if we don't do this, then we could be an occupied nation.
I don't think our base is happy at all. I'm really worried about midterms. I think Trump did a fantastic job last night, but I think the base is divided right now. And I think the base is really, really upset. Affordability, they can say whatever they want. I'm on the ground in a lot of different states. I work with candidates like yourself. I work with sitting congressmen and women. And I can tell you that the base, they're struggling. People are saying, I was just talking to a group of single moms in one state, and they were saying that a lot of single moms are starting to move in together because one household income is just not enough right now. There's somebody that's talking about creating an app for single moms to meet because they literally cannot afford a one income household. And that's a problem. Or the problem is it's either they choose between, being on Section 8 and those, or having a job. And it's like, there's a huge issue here. And then we just really upset Maha, which is a lot of independents. And the Maha movement really is what moved independents into the mega group. And we really just hurt them. And I think citizen journalists on the independent side just really released a lot with the AI data centers. That's going to start being exposed. And AI data centers really hit home with red states because that's where the land is. And
they're coming in our district, and people are between that and solar panels. People are losing their mind. County commissioner meetings, hundreds of people showing up in small towns, and they are not happy. And affordability is the number one issue. Groceries, you buy 5 bags of groceries in South Georgia, and it's $300. Yeah. I mean, and it's not even meat. I mean, that's just stuff to get by. I'm telling you, affordability, I hear about it every single day. It's a major issue. I'm a public school educator. So is my husband. We live on a budget, and we're not getting more money. We're not making more money. The cost of living is going up. Small businesses can charge more. We can't. In education, we work for the state. We're at their mercy.
Yep.
Madeline, but why the disconnect between the White House and the actual candidates? Why is it because of Susie Wiles?
Yes, I think Susie Wiles is running endorsements, and I think Mike Johnson's incredibly weak. The House is incredibly weak right now. There's a lot of different issues being put there, and at the end of the day, there's a lot of blackmail. There's a lot of people that have to stay where they are, even though the constituents are like, no, we can't. But they're attached to something else that has to keep them there. So then what happens is these PACs bring in money, or they know too much about somebody else. If they lose, they need that person's vote for some bill that's coming up. So then they bring this person in just so it covers their ass. We have a problem. Our house is bought and paid for. And, term limits, we're never going to get that because they would have to vote on it, and they're never going to vote that way. But the truth of the matter is, if we don't get some better candidates in there, and that's the hard thing, is look at Mitch McConnell. He can't even talk.
He fell down, right? A couple days ago.
Yeah.
He's dying. I mean, these people are dying. They're dying while in Congress. Doris Matsui's falling asleep for 5-10 minutes if you put a camera on her, she's falling asleep. These people should not be in Congress. And it's unfortunate because there's really great candidates out there that are fighting really hard. And for some odd reason, it never pans out. And then it's just continuing to leave our base tired because our base keeps really going to back. And that's why Susie Wiles is trying to get Trump back on the campaign train and go out there, because she realized based on this last election that if Daddy isn't there to carry everybody across the finish line, they're not going to cross it. But the problem is, I don't understand the people that are being targeted right now. And I talked to NRCC people, and there's not even assignments going out yet because all these different elections and different special elections and there's really a lack of leadership right now. And there's a huge disconnect with the White House and the House. And then you have the Senate that is just a disaster. There's a lot of rhinos in the Senate. So if our party doesn't get it together, our base is already divided. We can't afford to lose more. We've got to find a way to unite everybody. And Trump did a good job last night. And I really hope that we can figure out a way to push forward.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Save America Act it would put a lot of confidence back in a lot of people. People have lost confidence in the voting system. I hear that a lot of times talking to people. They're like, well, my vote doesn't count or whatever, or they're going to cheat. And I don't want to some of the things that they're talking about are correct. And but I don't want to discourage them, because it's not just a one issue thing. You still have to show up. You still have to vote. Hopefully they get the Save America Act passed, but that's another issue. But if we show up in force like we did in 2024, we can change some things. We can actually get some good people in office that can help us out with a lot of these things that we're struggling with right now. And so, that's why I don't want to discourage people, because they shouldn't be discouraged. They should recognize that we do have a lot more power than we realize. And if we show up in force like we did for Trump, we can get some more people in there. And I say that from a red state, and I'm fortunate for living in a mostly red state, but they can change some things, and they can we're not going to win every single district. Somebody was talking about last night online, they tagged me in a post about Debbie Wasserman Schultz district, and I'm like, you're not going to win that district. There's there's 2/3 of that district vote Democrat, and it's highly unlikely that you're going to get it. But there are other more close districts or whatever that you could absolutely win if you just show up in force. And so that's why I do these. I wanted to get away from politics, to be honest with you. My social media, I really wanted to get away from it. But the thing is conservatives are asleep at the wheel right now. We're not, I have this feeling that I need to get out there, and I need to help these candidates and stuff like that to put information out there, because I'm afraid that they're not going to show up and vote.
The base is tired. Let's just be honest. I'm sure Dr. Taylor would agree. The base is tired.
I'm tired.
They're all, I mean, we're all tired, but the base is tired. They all work 9 to 5s. They all have, some of them are getting second, third jobs. I mean, listen, I sit there and I listen to these people's stories, and some of them brings tears to my eyes of things that are happening. When you're running for Congress, I see it a lot with my different clients. You get these really sad emails about what these people are going for. They're just crying out for help. They don't know where to turn to. They don't know what to do. Then you have these AI data centers, these people, these big companies coming in. And the truth of the matter is this: Trump has weakened the dollar. Inflation might come down a little, but it's never going to come back down to where it is. The jobs report has not been winning. We can say whatever it is, but jobs report is not winning everywhere. And the fact is, we have to start creating real solutions for people, because the base they're too tired. They have 5 jobs, they have kids to feed, and they don't even know how they're going to pay their bills.
Yeah,
I mean, if we can't figure out an answer for basic people, the basic everyday American, then what are we doing?
Like, well, honestly, Madeline, I mean, I've had them say to me, why would I care about if a Republican stays in office because I'm broke now? I mean, I've heard these stories over and over, like you're talking about. You're exactly right. Affordability is going to destroy the midterms. That one issue by itself, if it's not addressed.
I think it's the most important thing. Yeah. I mean, everybody's talking about it.
The Trump accounts, like, we'll match you $1,000, have a child. These people don't have $5. They don't have money for groceries. The people winning, and when he says that, it just it makes me think, like, do you understand? The only people winning are the higher upper middle class to the donor class, because at the end of the day, the real true mega base is not that. So what's happened is when COVID hit, it blindsided Trump. Okay, nothing like that had ever happened before. But we're seeing the same thing again, a repeat with affordability, because COVID is the reason why we're in this issue. Yeah. All the money that was dumped in, all that, and it was done purposefully to separate the wealthy and the poor and dissolve the middle class. Yeah. And that is what we're seeing happen. The middle class is being eradicated. And if we don't do something about affordability, it's going to get worse, not better, until it is gone. And the reason why is a new couple can't buy a house. They can barely rent a house now because rent is astronomical, much less buying a home. Their base pay is nothing. I mean, they can't you're right, Mel. They have to work 4 and 5 jobs. That's not an exaggeration. They literally have 4 or 5 streams of income to get by.
And I think President Trump kind of said that he would solve all this problem with drill, baby, drill, with, the fossil fuel will take care of itself. And I was wondering whether the gas, I mean, I'm in California, so it doesn't affect here. Gavin Newsom puts more taxes as much as the gas price goes down. But I predicted that the gas prices would drop to such an extent that it would kind of alleviate a lot of the affordability issue. But it seems like that's not the case.
Well, in Georgia, they did drop quite a bit. The thing is, there's a little bit more to this, though. Under Biden, Governor Kemp dropped the gas tax in Georgia, which is about, I think it's like 30 or 40 cents. It's a lot. It's huge per gallon. Mm-hmm. I think it's 30 or 40 cents per gallon or whatever. So now the gas tax is back in place, but gas is about half as much as it was under the height of Biden. With that gas tax added in, it's still that much less. And so there is a huge difference in gas. There's a lot of prices that have come down, but the thing is beef is still up there, right? If you want to buy a good steak, it's like $60 for one steak. It's all like food. A lot of the things that people buy or whatever, like it's still pretty expensive. So there's some things, but it's not within a year you're not going to solve that anyways. But the thing is,
changes, a tire, a vehicle, interest rates, all of it. And the thing is, like I said earlier, I think before Madeline came on, it's not like we can reduce it ourselves. Okay. It has to be reduced. The people, and I don't blame small businesses for charging more because it's costing them more. I don't blame them for paying their employees more to retain their employee because they need more money. So when they have to pay them more, everything goes up. But like a public school educator, we're not getting a raise. So we're not making any more money. So you look at governmental employees, you look at people that, are in the military, whatever, you're on a fixed income, you're not making more money. You're making the same, and everything is going up. And then if you have an extra child, that's an extra expense. If you have to relocate and move to their home, it's an extra expense.
Yeah. I think that at Monkey Business, I think he pointed out a very important point about Affordable Care Act. I think Obamacare is also killing a lot of businesses too. With
it's killed healthcare. Period. Healthcare is in trouble.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I think President Trump is doing his best in trying to alleviate many things. Rollback of environmental rules and all that. But I think we are probably having some deleterious effect from COVID era. And I think probably we're still going through that.
Well, to Madeline's point, though, too, like they need to not pretend like things are better than they are, right?
Yeah.
Just be honest.
I don't think they know, Jay. I don't think they really know, because they're not in the same class that we're in. They're not seeing what we see. They're not on the ground. And so the people around them that are their advisors, they don't know. And so unless you're here with the people and you're hearing real stories like we're hearing running for office, or working in a public school system, or working a DOT job, you don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I worry about people who would say, I would rather have like government handout and go to the left. I worry that some people might opt to that.
And I have two things to say too. A lot of companies, and I always tell people, look at your electric bill and call your electric company. A lot of electric companies, they've said, are not going to raise the price due to AI and the data centers and whatnot. People found out that when they called, there's these new surcharges, and they're like, oh, it's for this. No, it's because there's a data center right down the road from them, and it's costing them money. There's that water bills are going up. People are like, why is my water bill like 3 times what it is? Well, you should go look maybe about 40 miles down the road. There are some issues there too with the environmental cuts. I'm not thrilled with, and I know a lot. I'm certified in environmental too, and I can tell you that I've looked into this, and I personally looked into environmental and supply chain because as Republicans, we don't have enough people that can fight back on the environmental issues with Democrats being crazy like they are. And I can say that the environmental issue is going to come into play because there are people and doctors now getting involved, and people are dying. There's a huge uptick in asthma. There's a huge uptick in lung issues. And now also cattle are dying near some big data centers. And we're going to see it come across the news here in the next few months because people are mad. Maha's mad. They were first mad about this, and then you pissed them off and gaslit them. So now they're going to start investigating more. And going back to that, the affordability, people can't afford their electric bills. People are like, yeah, I can't afford to go to the grocery. I can't afford to keep my lights on. I can't even. And then I had a family tell me that they both have full-time jobs, and that they literally can't afford rent because everywhere they go, they look at their credit, they get their thing ran, and they don't make enough based on their car and everything else. And they were like, well, we're just gonna, skate by. We don't make a lot of money, but that little bit they were going to budget so they could have an apartment. And nowadays it's so hard to even rent because most people have these credit checks, and the way the AI systems are is you can't even get approved for an apartment anymore. It's really sad. We're going to see a real problem if we don't get it together by midterms.
Yeah. Well, we've had you on here for almost an hour and a half now. I don't want to. I want to be respectful of your time and give you a little bit of opportunity to say something to your constituents. Say a little bit about your campaign, why you're running, and really drive home what you're all about and why you want to do this.
Sorry, my daughter was coming in and she was being loud on the phone. And I didn't think y'all wanted to hear a teenage girl talk. Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. I've loved this conversation. Y'all are my people, and iron sharpens iron. And so I've learned from you. I hope, we share ideas. It's wonderful. I'm running because I have 3 children. I have a 20-year-old in college. I have an 18-year-old that's going to graduate, the one that was on the phone talking. She went to church and got home. And then I have an 8-year-old, and he's in 2nd grade, and he loves Jesus, and he thinks that America's the greatest place in the world, and he loves President Trump and got to meet him on the tarmac one time in Atlanta airport. And, he wants me to run. He's so excited I'm running. The other two are like, Mama, please don't run. So, you know, I'm running because I want them to be in a free America, and they deserve it. And we can't just sit around and do nothing. We have to fight back. And even when we're talking about the other bases that, you know, maybe a district that is mostly blue, we have to put up a Republican candidate. We can't give them a bye because they have to raise money. We have to distract from that, and we have to hope and pray somehow they're tired of the liberal policies and they'll vote red and just keep pushing and keep pushing. We have to take every single seat. We should have a Republican candidate in every single seat, local, state, and federal. And I'm passionate about that. This government was founded on Jesus Christ. And I love the Lord with all of my heart. America is founded on common law, and common law comes out of the Bible. And if we don't protect our morality and get people in office who are going to protect the nuclear family, husband, wife, children, that is the foundation of this country. If we don't get in there, protect our families and our morality, and we're going to lose it. We really are. We're not going to have a nation anymore. And I know that. I feel that in my gut. I love Georgia, Southeast Georgia. I was born in the county where I live. That's part of the 15 counties where I'm running. And every single county in this district means everything to me. And I'm going to go and represent them the very best I can and be accessible to them. I'm going to go to DC and come home every week. I will not be living in DC. I will be living in South Georgia, and I will come home and be accessible to my constituents. And I think that's what everybody should do. If somebody wants to go to DC and they're excited about going to DC, they probably shouldn't get your vote because it's a cesspool of snakes. And it's not going to be something I'm going to just look forward to going and fighting off lobbyists and fighting off, you know, asking me and bribing me every single day. But I am not going to be going to parties and drinking and cheating on my husband. Okay. My husband and my son will go with me. My other two will be college and graduated. We will homeschool while we're there. We will make it work, and we will serve the people, and we will come back to South Georgia. And I'm going to fight with everything in me to establish relationships with people in Congress so I can get the job done for the American people. And I have a PhD in counseling, so I have a PhD in relationship. I'm really good at relationship. I'm going to hold their feet to the fire. I'm going to hold them accountable, and I'm not going to give them a free pass. And when I see them talking to lobbyists and not voting what they need to vote and pretending like they don't show up to certain votes or whatever, I'm going to hold them accountable. That's going to be my job. And I'm going to advance the kingdom there. And I know I can do it, and I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I won't be bought. I'm bought and paid for with the blood of Jesus, and they're going to have a really hard time dealing with me. But when I win, it will make national news. I've been in the Rolling Stones. I've been all over the national news because I terrify the media because they can't control me.
And one other thing too, I saw you responded to somebody online the other day, and they had asked you, do you take APAC money? And what was your response?
I haven't taken in any PAC money, period.
None. PAC, right? So
no PAC money.
This,
and
this
APAC would offer me money.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not going to offer me money, but I will promise you, I will not take any money with any strings, period. So if that's their MO to control people, I'm not your girl.
Yeah, well, Madeline just became a fan. But
yeah.
Why do we gotta go there? But I will say this. Back to emails and messages and comments, because I have access to a lot of these candidates, like information and comments and data. One of the biggest responses when we put out different things about like the candidates' declarations or their emails, things like that, one of the biggest responses we get is, are you America first or are you Israel first? I am actually, I may have been a little bit tooting that line way before this, but now I'm actually seeing a lot of people. And you know what? It's not about Israel even at this rate. It's about people here at home. Again, the base is struggling and they hate to see their money going overseas. Right. Their hard-earned tax dollars don't want to go overseas. If you know, the Middle East is just the hot topic right now, but if this was 2 years ago, we'd be talking about all the money we spent in Ukraine. So at the end of the day, I look at what the base is feeling, and that is it. Mm-hmm. Just so happens I don't like that either.
Well, in my commercial I just released against my opponent, I said I'm America first and I'm America only.
Yeah.
And our countries, you hear what we talked about tonight's affordability.
Mm-hmm.
We have no money to do anything for anyone else.
You're right.
Our own people are struggling. The middle class is being eradicated. Children are going to bed hungry in our country, and the richest country in the world. That's a problem.
You're right. Yeah, I'll promote you on my YouTube channel as well. There's a lot of Korean American subscribers on Georgia, so they can help your cause. We need.
And South Korea is the same size as Georgia.
Oh, is it? Got it.
Do you know 1 in 4 children in Ohio, just in Ohio, 1 in 4 children don't know where their next meal is going to come from if they're not going to school.
1 in 4.
During the summer, if they're not in like a state program or whatnot, and on weekends, they have no idea where they're going to go. That's why you see a lot of those public schools, they have those morning breakfast. They always have like those morning programs.
We do that.
If you don't have, there's a lot of children in public schools, 1 in 4, that don't know. And that's one of the reasons they show up. A lot of times, one of the reasons kids still show up to school is because they need to eat.
Yeah.
1 in 4.
You mess with children, and I'm going to come for you.
Yeah. And that's what kills me. When you see these moms crying and they're holding a baby, you see the list coming in. And I'm like, how? Like, and this is a red state. What are we doing?
Yeah.
It's JD Vance's state. And JD needs to handle
Right,
that. JD, chop, chop.
We gave $113 billion to Ukraine alone in 2023.
Yeah.
And we've been funding Europe's military. I mean, come on, man. We left Europe.
We offered 100. Trump was like, maybe the idea is let's give all of Greenland's people 100,000. Let's give all the Eskimos $100,000.
That's what he
said.
Like,
that's not going to work either. Like, there's people in America that are going to get $100,000 before we give anybody in Greenland $100,000. It's crazy.
Yeah. Let's stop giving money away. Why don't we just say nobody under this, what is it, house income, they don't pay taxes this year because they're struggling. And so let's stop paying taxes on those people right now until we can get back on our feet. Let's do something like that instead of just handing people money, let them work, but they don't keep their tax money and spend it on their grocery bill.
Right. All the Israelis are fully insured because of our tax money, right? So I think, we need to change something.
Common sense.
Well, the rule should be if we're running a deficit, we don't send any money overseas. If we have a deficit, then if we can't balance the budget, then we don't have money to send to anybody else.
The only money we send is to our soldiers. The only money we send is for our defense. Our defense, us.
Yeah, wow. Right. I mean, it's like Americans are working this hard to feed all these other nations, and yet we're really suffering a lot.
Well, you have to take care of your home base first.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like when they're fighting, they want to go to Iran and have all the war hawks want to go to Iran because the regime, and there's all these protests. Meanwhile, there's protests happening everywhere in America. Go to any left state, any like blue state, and look at just what happened in Minnesota. The same time, and there's all these riots happening in Minnesota, you have people on Fox and CNN saying, we need to go to war with Iran because there's all these protests happening. We need to flip the regime. There's protests happening here. I'm confused.
Well, I got an email today about Trump's speech last night and how they were going to do some No Kings rallies. They're organizing themselves in Chatham County and Savannah. So that's right here in my district. So, yes, they're right here at home. We don't have to worry about another country.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I appreciate y'all coming tonight. Thank you, Kandiss Taylor, for coming in here, talking to us, getting out there, talking to your constituents. Hopefully we had a good amount of people in Georgia watching. We're at 8,600 total live listeners. Thank you, Madeline.
And if they're not in Georgia, you can still help me. You can make phone calls for me. That's free. I will give you a list of Georgia primary voters in the 1st district. I would love to have you to do that. $26 a month. You can go to kandiss.com. But I would really love volunteers to help me make phone calls. That would be epic.
Yeah. Check out her website. Check out her X page. She's got a TikTok now. She's been doing good things on TikTok. Like, I convinced her to do TikTok. I think conservatives need to be out there because there's a big audience out there that's on TikTok. And
except I had a couple videos reported. So I'm like, Jay, what's going on? He said, don't put anything in hashtags. Don't put anything. I said, okay, let me just stop doing that. I hadn't had any flagged anymore.
Unless you're doing videos of whales and dogs and stuff like that, don't put it. Just post your video. That's it. But I wanted to thank
right, KandissTaylor.com.
Yes.
Yeah, and she's tagged in the main the live here too, so you should be able to find her. But I wanted to thank you for coming in here, Madeline. I know you were busy. I know you just came from the airport. Thank you for showing up. And
oh, thank you. I'm sorry I was late.
Yeah, no, it's all good. And thank you, Michael, for always supporting too and coming in here. I appreciate you.
Y'all were awesome.
Yeah, he's doing good things. He's having candidates on his channel now too. He has a massive YouTube channel.
And Michael, I need to go on there, and everybody can donate $1, and I can fund my campaign.
I'll invite you.
He's,
a lot of my subscribers can help.
He's that to be honest with you, that's a lot harder platform to build on, and for him to have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, that's pretty badass.
Oh
dude.
yeah.
And Michael is just a smart dude too, so I love having him on here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay. I mean, this is really great, and to get to help with you, Jay, Madeline, and also Dr. Taylor, it's an honor.
Yeah, so I appreciate y'all. Last night, Angela and I hosted Sean Hendricks too. That was a really cool show. Very, very cool individual to talk to. I'm really a fan of his. We had followed each other for a long time, but that last night was the first night I had talked to him face to face. So that was pretty cool too. But I appreciate y'all for coming in here. Thank you so much. You guys have a good night. We've been going at this for an hour and a half now, and just about 9,000 listeners. So we did pretty good tonight. So I appreciate you. Hopefully we got the message out there to some people that hadn't heard from you before. So thank you, and y'all have a good night. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
God bless.
Oh, there we go. All right, there you have it. Dr. Kandiss Taylor, South Georgia, Congressional District 1, running for Buddy Carter's seat. So you heard from her. I've had, a few different candidates up here. I plan on having some more before, the elections in different states. I've had Don Brown on here. I've had a couple other people, just trying to get them out there, trying to put them in touch with y'all so y'all can decide who you want to vote for. And you can, I'm trying to make it easy for y'all. So thank you for everybody that supported tonight. Thank you for the reposts. Thank you for the comments. I really appreciate you because it helps to get the message out there, and then you guys can decide who you want to vote for. And so that's what this is all about. So thank you for joining tonight. I appreciate y'all. Have a good night.